Thank you everyone for coming. Welcome to North Beach First Friday. We have a great lineup tonight. I'll start out reading something before the other poets read something. I'll read the poem about my dad. It's kind of a work in progress. He passed away about 1.5 years ago. And so I just read this last night, but it's only the second time I read it. I wrote it in October, and I'm trying to decide if I should keep expanding the poem from the inside out or whether I should keep writing a series of pieces, short vignettes that will all be part of the same poem. And it is yet to be titled. But here we go. 2 summers ago, we went to Spike's in Point Pleasant for lunch with Wendy and Michael. When you dropped me off, I got out of the car and kissed you goodbye. I looked into your eyes, hoping it wasn't going to be the last time I saw you. I wanted to give you a hug, but didn't. I was afraid I'd cry. It was the last time I saw you. 3 summers ago, we also went to Spike's. After we drove to the Manasquan Inlet, looking across the water at Carlson's and the jetty. I remember going out in your boat, which I don't remember the name of. I was 4. One dark, moonless night, we were heading back to the marina. I asked you how you knew where the entrance to the inlet was. I follow the fishing boats. I know where they're going, and I know they know where they're going, and I know where I'm going. The ocean just called, waves, the water back downside, wobbly boats float home. Peter liked the 81st birthday card I gave him. It was a photo by my friend Ed Brooks of some kids climbing onto a boat in Vietnam. On the envelope, I drew a picture of his boat in later years, the Brimarigi. My deceased brother named it. It was spelt with the first syllable of all the kids' names: Bri, Brian, me, Michael, Rebecca, Jay, Jessica, Brimarigi. My favorite part of the card, he said, was your drawing of the fish swimming above the water, above the waves, seaweed, shells. Very abstract, he said. Once at the seaside boardwalk, he gave me $50 to play 3-card Monte. When I spent it all and lost the game, I asked him for 20 more. Don't you get it? She's a fucking shell artist. Sometimes you gotta listen to the messenger and not the message. Sometimes it's hard to know which is which. We kept walking, passing an ice cream sundae and banana split stand. He said, the only thing bad about life is that I won't be around to see more of it. But with some people, the only thing missing is the banana peel. I sing the body electric, zap, 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 he said at John Brown's farm in Saranac Lake when there was a bolt of heat lightning. I don't understand poetry. You just quoted Walt Whitman, I said. He's a poet. I know, but so what? I also liked that one about stopping by the woods on a snowy evening. By Frost, stopping by the woods on a snowy evening. Get it? Do you get it? Ha ha, Dad, yeah, I get it. Lots of people think that poem is a metaphor for death. What do you think? I asked. He said, I think it's about stopping by the woods on a snowy evening. Anyhow, next, please welcome Jeffrey Grossman, who used to live in North Beach for a long time. He now lives in Santa Cruz, and so here he is.
Hello, Jeffrey.
It's nice to be here. Thanks, Jessica, and all you people that I love are here too. I have this new book that's just come out. It's called Wampum. Indians used it for money. It means that which removes tears. That's why it became money. to the northeastern Indians. It's for sale, but I'm going to read maybe a poem or the beginning of that. That's a long poem. I'll read first and foremost to Jack Hirschman. It's called The Heart of Liberty. O Liberty statue, higher than empire, higher than bird, higher than magic, higher than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. As donkeys mount elephants in your streets, beneath AT&T wired to a blue-eyed cross, I dream the red-black son of the blue, a fist, a warm glow within. Know it, you lover, O comrade, O friend, and yes, your heart, with all the doves flying out of it, open and opening. By the way, thank you. Know it, you lovers, the backwards of revolution. I want to do something for another person that died who I love dearly. His name is Specs. And before I even came here, I would hang out with him for months and clean the bar years ago, and eventually, whatever. He was a dear person, as you all know. I wrote this at his bar, and I originally thought it was for my father. I attributed it to my father, but since he died, I'm giving it to Specs. It's called Closing Sons. The bartender is no longer serving alcohol. Alas, alcohol is no longer being served. Lights go on in a blaze in my eyes. Then suns, so many suns. This must be what happens when one dies. Lights go on in a blaze in one's eyes. Then suns, so many suns. Specs, thank you. Another gone friend, Ken Wanio, called a Xanadu. Behind the window, this light that shines like a star in the garden clothesline, from which silk thunders the multicolored shorts of women smokers choking on hemp. The night is drinking the evening red. Near a fireplace, oh, favorite haunt of second chances offering warmth and world-changing ciders distilled with chameleon raindrops drenched in honey. I see children before a wide-eyed fun face, speaking in the sigh I will not use to harpoon the moon that exudes in shades of black and blue, the night unraveling this garden where all like myth happens. A trick that roars, I believe, from the deep pools of my mind, tilting this way and that, and leaving me before this light that shines like a star on the garden clothesline, to fall from the night into Xanadu. I don't know how much time do I have. This is one, if I can find it quickly, for Gregory Corso that I never read before. But since George is here, I'll read this.
It's all your fault, George.
Where do I find it? Oh, come on, where are you? I'll do a quick, fast one. Said the scorpion after he ate, I do not think the praying mantis need forgive the spider for weaving the fly's fate. And then I'll do...
Yeah. Good, Jeffrey.
This is for Gregory. It's called Notre Dame versus Miami. I had, anyway. After raking the leaves, I see on TV, fishing ice for fat, long-speared Eskimos of igloo, suffocating in plastic. The stock market saturated in the sweat and tears of chimpanzees, chasing the almighty dollar as if it was the Holy Grail or perhaps a mighty dragon. Not the Emerald Isle, but Notre Dame 4 horsemen sacrificing spuds to carry a pigskin through those hurricanes of Miami, through the green grass of mud-eating oranges, shining brighter than the sun. I should relax, read the bomb. My dog, Ike, wagging his tail, fixes his gaze on a woman sitting beside a fireplace, waiting for a man to emerge from flames to railroad time. Good move. Precisely at that moment when trees, coupling in the dark, dissolve. I should relax, read marriage. Once a poet with many sons, with the heart of a Superman, wrote of power, though he never finished the poem, clothed in grace and cleansed by the guts that zap those Monday morning quarterbacks and couch potatoes neatly stashed in living rooms. He said it all. P.S. Not $1, and yet the poet, with the heart of a Superman, able to leap in a single line, tall buildings that scrape the skies, chasing the mighty dragon flies. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey Grossman, once again. I did forget to mention that he is very obsessed with the presumed relationship between football and poetry. But please welcome our next poet, Tate Swindell, who asked me not to say anything about him, so here we go.
Thank you all for showing up. Thank you, Jessica, for putting this on. I learned my lesson not to ask her when I'm reading because it's never accurate, so...
No, I told you. Yes, it was. I'm sorry.
Does that count in my time?
Depends on
Yeah, I don't remember. Thank you. That was my first poem. Getting fucked up is one thing. Being fucked up is another. The next morning after, the next morning after, the next morning after, the next. In a world full of Uber surveillance, don't you feel as though no one is paying attention? He votes in person, likes to pull the curtain back and pretend no one's watching. She painted a crooked mirror, hung it upside down to reflect without shame or fear of recognition. The ability to accurately describe a midlife crisis requires knowing exactly when you will die. Who here among us can accurately describe what electricity tastes like? Let the wine do the talking. I usually do. Do you know what it's like to feel her death while she's still alive? Do memories qualify as time travel? The painting is crooked and so is the buyer. I'm just a bunch of sand and water mixed together trying not to be a castle. I'd rather not wait for death to teach me. When will the mushrooms kick in and finally take over the world? And will it more be in cloud form than the mycelium under our feet? Should I be doing something else right now instead of writing this poem for us? Brandon, today at lunch with Pierre, we spoke of horror stories from Election Day, the continual thread around the warehouse, these early mornings when breath is better seen than heard. The stories are more comical than painful, though. And this fits, since politics is such a joke in America these days, basing on money. As people fail to acknowledge that we vote with our dollars, though some with only cents, leftover change from dues paid on 3/5. America is not a country. America is a marketing concept. Elegy from the Mall.
That's an interesting story.
Muhammad is gone. He spoke up and was silenced. He stood up and was shackled. To tie the hands of a boxer is a cruel thing to do. The rhythms that find their way into the words, the pace, the jazz of the piece, the soul and the way it rolls, the flow, the timing, the breaks, the pace, the space in between the notes, the lines, the inflection of the voice tapping into patterns that make sense, that feel natural. A tough thing to do, to write, to sit in silence, your own, and tap away at keys or wield a writing utensil in your hand to create. Strange thing indeed, thoughts in the brain can only maintain for so long. Is something lost in the transfer? Attempting to relate the immediacy of thoughts and feelings? How accurate are interpretations? What of the word experience? What does that mean? To fuck, to walk, to work, to observe? I have a closet full of experience and the skeletons hanging themselves within. So there it is, the writing, the revealing, the obscurity and reference, the hiding within the words. No keys, only codes. Pain, the laughter, the fear, the joy, the being. We wonder about such things from moment to moment, while waiting for the bus, while standing in line for the bathroom, at the doctor's office, while making love. These thoughts arise in our minds, we dwell upon them, unable to turn off the faucet in a drought, trying to attach significance to their presence, attempting to convey these thoughts in a manner that can be understood, or at least felt by others, even if that others is simply one other. And I wonder, sitting here, typing, reading, if you will understand, feel, get anything out of this. Perhaps you can invite me into your closets. After all, there is nothing to fear. Fear does not exist unattached to words. Be set free. Conception of Love for Leslie Weiner. Remember when we were younger, when it was acceptable to lie down on the sidewalk, our cheeks pressed against the melting summer cement, the scent of chrysanthemums and honeysuckle clinging to our clothes, anxiety of deadlines nowhere to be found until the sunset signals our curfew, slowly walking home, holding dirty hands, clutching sweating palms, trying to extend the magic hour. Skin knees and holes in jeans, band-aids worn like badges, embracing our crutches, crying just because. Death, a stranger we were not allowed to speak to. Those moments when my eyes would catch your eyes, lingering, wondering who would be the first to laugh. The edges of your smile began to rise, and I knew that you could hear this heart beating to my cheek as it melted the summer sidewalk. Sit down and write a poem for Ronnie Burke, the Crazy Fox of April 1st, 1955. Sit down and write a poem, a fierce poem, an endless poem, a poem to evoke emotions in us all. A lyrical poem, a surrealist poem, a communist poem, a poem with pigeonholes, a poem tumbling outside of the sandbox, unafraid to bleed, baking in the sun, served for lunch. A Plymouth poem, a Michelin poem, a poem that sounds like the horns of Ornette Coleman, Art Pepper, Wardell Glay, a flock of sunny, dizzy birds. The drums of Billy Higgins, Shelley Mann, Elvin Jones, and all their notes floating in the air. A poem that breathes. A poem that tells everything but the truth. A poem that makes you righteous with anger. A poem that is blamed for burning down banks and picking locks of buildings' hearts. A poem that is deemed illegal for centuries, until the day forgiveness comes knocking, armed with pockets full of cash, bundled in red tape. A poem that has never heard the words war, gun, rape, homophobe, racism, starvation, God. A poem that contains no medical benefits, a poem that cannot afford medical benefits, a poem that feeds on words tossed aside as useless, a poem that writes poems, a poem that uses words like cock, cunt, clitoris, fucking, a ghost poem for the reverberations of Bob Kaufman, the laughter of Ronnie Burke, the wit of Andre Cudrescu, the lust of Eleanor Candell, the memory of Herbert Huncke, the visions of Ira Cohen, and the well-being of Diane Dupree. Sit down and write a poem. Thank you.
Yeah! Tate Swindell!
Once again, Tate Swindell, even the dog is barking. Next, please welcome Rosemary Amano.
Thank you. Life. On the brink of a disaster that doesn't happen. That's a line from Werner Herzog, La Soufrière. It's a volcanic island in the Caribbean. He made a very wonderful film about it called La Soufrière. I'll escape under fire, the urgency of hunger, the cruelty of winter time. The flight from Egypt, the deepest love, a toss of destroy might be mine. Oh, guardian angel, a talisman could protect as well. I crossed 2 deserts to die near Lampedusa, so close to shore. The closest, the Coast Guard, another mirage, to live and die on the same ride. Don't look back, it's deep inside. To remember is life, pole star of my old routine. I never wanted to leave. This odyssey to survive in a peaceful danger somewhere could end somewhere cold and foreign, to arrive at a border of razor wire, then a Calais jungle surrounded by angry Normans. There are no barriers, only time and good luck. I'll charge my phone. I'll charge in a human wave, a new political class. I'll charge the hatred. This fluke of survival before you, I vow to stay alive. The moon slowly rises, stars emerge in witness. Let death wait longer, the odyssey never ends. It's hard to see. I penned these lines when I was feeling really grateful. For Tate and Tango, San Francisco Poetry, 2021. The Sunshine Kid and a Coptic Priest. Oh, what a bounty.
Yeah. Mr. Tate Swindell.
Ms. Tate Swindell. The dogs are running in the Dallas airport. There's nothing to smell in my valise. The dogs smelled hashish in the Paris airport. Barking dogs by my valise. Sarkozy cops. Looked at everything, found nothing. The plane to San Francisco waited me for 20 minutes. I slept the whole flight back. Kandahar film in Marseille, our last night. We waited in St. Charles Station for our train to Spain. Barcelona was ludicrous after Marseille. The offensive that failed without opposition. The offensive without beginning or end. My ring from the Sea of Cortez. The wound. A wound that hasn't healed in 6 months. Your journey on the left shin, the glacial pace it takes to die. 1 step forward, 3 steps back. New tributaries of superation are still being born. How I did everything wrong. Deep open wounds I scalded daily. Hot salty baths I lived on. And I constantly craved in my mission to be warm. In my mission to warm up. What's my mission? Blood is only suppuration, down shin to ankle chain. I scrape it off when it's dry. It's mildly malodorous, what death smells like nearby. And now I shall take a 2-second break to blow my nose. A wonderfully patient audience on a cold night.
We all blow our noses.
Who said that?
Brian Chandler.
Brian. Hi, Brian. Okay. A week of more weight loss. I eat like a horse. False eyelashes for blessed 70th birthday party. How long it takes to walk out the door. I give Monica de Blessed at DMV. Cement bench I sit on covers my backside in piss. This is democracy in action. DMV, what a pit. I'm sorry for you that my flesh is gone. The beauty you fell in love with is gone. We went to a motel at State Line. We hiked in the alpine forest. The Godfather country. We hiked Godfather country. Crows announced Fredo's murder. This was post-craniotomy trace, lockdown still in place. Back to the Posada in May. A man checked in to die, drank himself to death on Basilio Badillo. A lot of travel in the lockdown. So I guess it's time, Jessica? Are we?
You can read one more.
One more? Okay. All right. Have, okay. I got it. Okay, one more. I'm real fond of this poem. Small first elegy for Blanca. for blessed. You wrote her name with a stick in the wet cement. Our fire angel, how she burned almost 18 years of a lucky dog's life. Twice returned to her natal town in Mexico. It's always more fun when she comes along. She was good on the plane. She sat on my lap. Silent, handsome Japanese man beside me, soon covered in white dog hair. I pass Blanca to you. Airline hostess brings fat roll of tape. It works so well. I clean and clean the peaceful man's navy blazer he still wears. He loves the treatment. Blissed out, eyes closed, in dreamy reverie. And thanks, Blanca.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Beautiful.
Thank you for this.
Once again, Rosemary Amano. And now, please welcome Francisco Orrego.
I guess
He can introduce himself.
the poems will speak for themselves.
That's right.
First, let's start with the death of a fictional poet. His name is Domingo Nova, and the name of the poem is called The Last Dance. On the other side of the street, at the entrance of the Dark Hole Bar, confused and frightened, stood an old and dead-tired Domingo Nova. The bartender, putrid and blind, with a gloomy and shady laugh, welcomes the old man. And at the bar, exhibiting her thighs and forcing voluptuousness with her tits pressed up by a small bra, a pale, one-eyed cocktail waitress with broken heels starts jumping around, taking orders from empty tables. The place gave Nova the sensation of being trapped in the nostalgia of an eternal Sunday afternoon. And from its floor, dirty of ashes and dry flowers, he could smell the fetid odor of abandonment. Understanding his predicament, the Domingo put a coin into the jukebox, selected The Last Dance, and sinking forever into history, he danced his way out. And I'm going to go for a few very, very short poems. They're part of a book called Haikus for Low Lives.
For low lives or
Yeah.
no lives?
Low lives. Like, yeah, me. Okay. See, she didn't have to say anything. Language. The shine that we give to our thoughts using our soul as a rag. Reasoning. Reasoning is the pillow we put between our heads and the wall we're trying to bash it into. Reality drug. Human perception is a continuous sucker's high that elevates us to accept a reality constructed of lies. Growing up young, we run wild around ourselves, thinking that we will last forever or die young. Most of us don't follow through. We don't die young, we just live through. Later in life, we think that we wasted youth, when if anything, youth wasted us. The music. Music is the spontaneity of its own language, an essence-arranged machine, mechanized by all. A sound that goes beyond our thoughts, balanced and truly lawless. Even when it wants to make you die, no other ghost inspires life like music. Pleasure face. I got under her, and with my knees pressed against this earth, I licked heaven and hell. as her torso danced on my lips. Her pleasures were my wings, and we soared into each other flying until my neck hurt. Balls. We tore into each other with our brand of loving. She needed my balls to keep us together, and all I needed from her were little endearments to feel them hanging. Immortal blues. I could feel myself falling into this voided rhythm called night, like an orphan echo bouncing off the edges of some hardship tunes. Alone in my apartment, I sway through the piano and moan over the sax while some dead singer pokes at my youthful decrepitude. Nostalgia. Nobody can remember the present until it becomes the past. That's where most people live, trying to figure out their present. Philosophy. Bound to the wheels of fortune where destiny is confined, man seeks enlightenment as for a light do the blind. Philosophy is a subjective nightmare of philosophy, a sophisticated roundabout where sanity meets the insane. Where are they? At night, when it rains, there are no thieves. Could they be writing poetry? A new day. During the night, stitches are woven throughout the soul, that same soul that wanders into the morning, very much the wounded survivor with an itch that screams for more and a craving with no fingernails. And then the next day, awake, with my delirious forehead, I found myself at a stop, pale, sweating, with red eyes and my breath scarred by alcohol, waiting impatiently for the arrival of that ghostly bus with an illuminated sign that spelled out its destination, Monday. And the last one I'm going to read is called Voice Up, and I think I'm going to read this one every time I finish, because it's never an old message, this one. Voice up. If you feel powerless and there's nothing you could do, at the very least, voice up. Voice up against the criminalization of truth, against rampant government assassinations of the just and the accepted denial of proof. Voice up and everything can change for those who wake up with their souls leaping in contempt towards the injustices of reality. Voice up to make sense out of the false dreams and smokescreen promises that have been nailed into the history of our humanity. Scream out against genocide, slavery, cultural appropriation, racism, privilege, and the blatant or tacit, systematic exploitation and humiliation of those who are different or poor. Voice up, because one thing is for certain, the silence only feeds the evil behind the curtain. Shout out for accountability for those guilty in the present and the condemnation of those who in the past have been. On the streets, in your home, from your heart, justice for all. Voice up and let the change begin. Thank you very much.
Once again, Francisco Orrego. And I'm going to read a short, more abstract poem now while we set up for the closing band, closing musicians. This is called Yo-Yo. Hear ye cuckoo pines, rise your psychedelic whoop. The gooblet whippoorwill swirls around the eye of lollipop. Boom! Two horses riding kites throw trees. Rubber mandarin ion patters its twig and drips wabi on naked hips. Shake, collide in the air that wiggle like tizzy rock and murk in bogged lock. Awange! Anthill is the moon, glub. Never tip hammock to star. The green man is melon. Zazimbimba rolls. You always saved something to Waka for Umanuk and Digger Dodo Do.
So to close it out tonight, these here are two of my best friends, Ramo D and Elizabeth. And a beautiful thing that a lot of you might not know, these two here met at Nili Tchaikovsky's house at a party I threw. So it's a beautiful thing coming full circle. They're called Canyon Songs. Please give them a warm welcome.
Disappeared like a shooting star. These changes disappear. No more apologies. My mother love has healed, and it's alright, 'cause I am here. Golden threads through the universe into my hands. Like a dream, your guitar in full effect. Lift me up. Born into succumbing to nothing, to divine and nothing, to love and nothing. Pushes me through.
Nice to see everybody.
in others' eyes. See things as sons, or the self-same child. Beyond the wall, the earth is running, bare toward a reckoning. This is our history. See yourself in my eyes. Endless undone, a flower blossom radiance. Above it all, there's new beginnings and endings. Above it all, beyond the wall, the cottonwoods, limbs like bones, over the river, orphan to the same child, orphan to the same child. See yourself in others' eyes. See yourself in others' eyes. See things as sons. Because my fingers are cold.
Sounds good. Seems like a really lovely evening tonight. So happy to be a part of it. Thank you for letting us play and hearing some really beautiful poetry, and what a beautiful night. Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you. Trouble is turning away from those demons inside. It makes the darkness bluer than blue. Sadness requires tenderness. Touch the moon in your eyes and ask her to come to me in implied melodies necessary to let sorrow bleed. I've gone where trouble is,
drawn to outsiders' souls. Something to be, someone to dream. As the night comes, cicadas ring, imagination's forces keeping time. Up above, up above, up above, up above. Well, it comes to me. Well, it comes to me. It comes to me. Thank you. All right, is that good? One more. Okay. Thank you. All right, uno más.
It was your idea.
You're starting to like it. It's fun idea,
actually.
It's starting to be okay. It's not that terrible.
Okay. I said one more.
All right, this will be our last one.
Thanks so much for having us over.
Yeah, thank you.
Bravo, we are glad to have you.
It's been a real honor.
The way to find the truth that Vinny talks about is in what you say and what you do, and all the other stuff in between the summer sky and the moonlight. 'Cause life is holy and there's no gods. The wind is brutal, it tears at the streets and trees. So many distractions, nothing seems to stick. It's just a reaction built into the scheme of things. It's ancient and timeless. Everything I ever lost came back to me. We moved to each other like water. There's so much room in a heart. There's so much room in my heart. The wind is brutal, it tears at the streets and trees. So many distractions, nothing seems to stick. It's just a reaction built into the scheme of things. It's ancient and timeless. The wind is brutal, it tears at the streets and trees. So many distractions, nothing seems to stick. It's just a reaction built into the scheme of things. It's ancient and timeless.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much once again, everyone, for coming to North Beach First Friday. There's still some great music going on down at Church Key 101.